Hello everyone, I'm Renown Zero. We are back again talking about the Gears of War. Executive producer explains why AAA games are indeed in trouble in the wake of the Dragon Age, the Veilguard disaster. Now this is a video that this person has done on their channel. Now, for anybody that's been watching the channel, as long as they have, they should know that Gears of War is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I've played so many hours of Gears of War 1, 2, and 3, and even 4, and even Judgment, and even 5. So when someone that's been an executive producer of one of my favorite games of all time is telling you that the AAA space is in trouble, you know that you would want to listen when they've literally produced games that have been very successful. So let's get into this article here from Fandom Pulse. Laura Frye, the executive producer of Gears of War, as well as the VP and general manager for the Lord of the Rings War in the North. Another fantastic game, by the way, Lord of the Rings War in the North. And Guardians of Middle-earth, I never played that one, but I definitely played War in the North, and I've played every single Gears of War game, and I've completed every single campaign for every single Gears of War game. In my opinion, Gears of War 3 is the best one. Recently explained why AAA games in the studios that make them are in trouble. In a recent upload to her YouTube channel, so she went around the people that would probably be against her, telling everyone how much in trouble the AAA space is. Titled Games Industry Bubble, Fryer declared, quote, "When people ask me why AAA games are in trouble, this is it. Because they're not reflecting on what they could do better. Instead, they're attacking the people that they want to sell their games to. It is not a winning strategy." Oh, it's almost as if those quote-unquote grift tubers that everybody complains about and cries about were correct and literally have been saying the exact same thing that an executive producer on Gears of War is now saying in a video. So if clowns out there want to not listen to the quote-unquote anti-woke grifters, are they going to now listen to an actual executive producer from the industry? Or what are we doing now? Because now that someone from the actual industry is calling out this nonsense, are you going to listen to that person now, or are you just going to call them a grifter as well? She continued, "It reminds me of Plato's allegory of the cave. It's where people only see what is on the wall in front of them. They don't see that there's a fire behind them and the puppets that are creating the images that they see on the wall. What they're seeing isn't real, and if they would only turn around and walk into the light, they would know the truth. They would be able to change." Now, something that I've seen from her actual video, you can go over to her YouTube channel and watch it. She's actually said that when something didn't do so well, she would reflect and try to figure out why something didn't land, rather than trying to blame the consumer and blame the customer who has nothing to do with the development or the oversight of the game, which is what a lot of developers are doing now. It's hard, but they made the cave. They made the fake reality that they can turn around at any time, and I, for one, hope they do, because I really want more great games. And that's the funny thing. People have said this multiple times. We don't care about who develops the game, especially in a franchise that we've beloved for so long. We just want a game to be fun and not be preachy. Earlier in the video, she explained how game studios built the cave by originally crafting relationships with video game journalists to help promote their games and get shelf space and retailers. And these are all things that she said in her video. This evolved to game studios building relationships with influencers and content creators on YouTube. By doing so, it created a bubble or an echo chamber. She explained, quote, the playbook was the same. Cultivate a relationship with the most popular streamers and YouTube personalities that love your game and pull them into the bubble. However, she noted this stopped working because the bubble prevented real feedback from penetrating it. When you're in a bubble, she says, or an echo chamber where no real feedback gets through, it's easy to make bad choices. It's easy to believe the friendly journalists when they tell you what a genius you are and how great your game is. Because if you're not giving any feedback on their games, they can't improve. You stop seeing what the gamers are actually playing, Fryer continued. You stop understanding what they want. You stop listening because all you hear is how awesome you are. From there, she used Dragon Age the Veilguard as an example, saying, quote, "It took over 6 years, but it really took over 10 years, which is fine, to make that game, and that is very expensive even before you start talking about the marketing. This means you're going to have to sell a lot of copies, and that means you're going to appeal to as many people as possible. There's no question that some people like the game, and that's great, but it's looking like it won't be enough," she observed. "And I have concerns that this will lead to more layoffs. Also, as a gamer, I have no problem with game developers taking risks for their content. Neither does anybody else. Who doesn't love innovation? But that doesn't mean I'll buy your game. There's many games I like and many that I don't." Which, again, people are allowed to purchase a game based on a game trailer, and they're allowed to have an opinion on said game based on a trailer. The trailer is part of the marketing team. It's part of the marketing for the game to market the product to you, to make it have an opinion and help you make a decision on whether or not you want to purchase or not purchase a game. Especially now when games are $70 and they're not giving you $70 worth of content, in my opinion. And that's the beauty and challenge of working in the games industry. So you notice sometimes you will make something that you think is good and people don't love it. I was proud of every single game I shipped, but not all of them had commercial success, and it was frustrating. But here's the part that I was talking about from the video. But I didn't blame the gamers for that. Instead, I tried to look back, which is again what developers nowadays are not doing. They're blaming the customer for their poor decisions for their game. I tried to self-reflect. What did we do well with the game? What could we have done better? Why didn't this work out? And as the leader of a studio or a game, I always looked at myself first. Fire continued. Gaming is entertainment. People aren't forced to buy your message or your game, which is, again, something that a certain side has been saying for years. Holding back user reviews for a few days only buys you a few days. Eventually, the truth comes out. Eventually, people notice that you aren't delivering fun games, and they stop giving you money. Wow, it's almost as if these arguments have been made multiple times by multiple people, yet they're hated on for saying the exact same things. I cannot wait to see how much this person could be possibly called a grifter. Unfortunately, companies like BioWare and Ubisoft do not appear to be taking Friar's advice at all. Dragon is the Veilguard's game director, a man who pretends to be a woman and uses the name Corinne Bush, did an interview with Inverse declaring that he is the conqueror of haters and that Veilguard was subject to a hate campaign. So you're making a game to own the haters, I guess, even though your game is a complete flop at this point. Inverse's Hayes Madsen wrote, in the immediate future, the studio has faced a different problem, a hate campaign that's put Veilguard at the center of a kind of culture war on social media, along with plenty of hateful comments towards developers and review bombing on sites like Metacritic. There is a thing called positive review bombing as well as negative review bombing. Do I really believe anybody should be doing either or? Absolutely not. Do I believe that hateful comments should be made towards the developers? No, I believe people should give some feedback as to what will make their product better, rather than sending hateful comments. Clearly, Bush and BioWare are using Madsen to paint themselves as victims and blaming gamers for the game's failure. Assassin's Creed Shadows executive producer Mark Alexis Cote ran to the New York Times to declare his team will be doubling down on its much criticized DEI agenda, so much that Elon Musk reacted to the game saying DEI deletes art. Because now that you finally have a game of Assassin's Creed set in Japan, you decided you were going to essentially virtue signal by not using a Japanese character. You wanted to use a black character that's never been a samurai officially, so it's weird. Cote told the New York Times, if there is a hill that I'm willing to die on, it is defending the creative freedom of our teams. Responding to critics of the game's depiction of Yasuke, he also stated, we share your passion for history and deeply respect your care for the historical and cultural integrity of your rich heritage. It's funny because the Japanese don't like this character or this game either. From its inception, the series has taken creative license and incorporated fantasy elements to craft engaging and immersive experiences. The representation of Yasuke in our game is an illustration of this. Personally, I thought Valhalla was boring. I never finished it, and there's a lot. And for most, I've finished most Assassin's Creed games. That was just one I could not finish because it was absolutely boring. The current climate is tough on our creative teams. They face lies, half-truths, and personal attacks online, which again, I don't believe anyone should be personally attacking anybody for creating something. I think they should just give them their constructive criticism, and that's it, and move on. When the work they pour their hearts into is twisted into a symbol of division, it's not just disheartening, it can be devastating. What keeps me going is the resilience born out of conviction that I see in our teams every day. I'm especially proud of the Shadows team for staying true to their creative vision and the core tenets of Assassin's Creed. That's perfectly fine. You can stay true to your creative vision and the core tenets of Assassin's Creed. That does not mean that people have to purchase your product just because you create said product and put your time, energy, and soul into said product. People are giving you their money, so they expect a product that is worth to them the amount of money that they put into it. Now, for me personally, in 2024, games like Space Marine 2 was worth $70. I still don't think games should be $70, but that's one of the games that I've purchased this year that I felt was worth $70. It is a game I did complete with friends on stream and off stream. So, and I've played it with multiple people. But people are willing to give you their money if you're willing to give them a product that appeals to them. Trying to get this wide audience that sometimes, for the most part, or I would say for the most part, doesn't exist, is really not a good choice when, again, the majority of gamers are male. It's been proven in multiple studies that majority of gamers are male. I'm not saying there aren't female gamers, which is fine. You can be a gamer if you're a female. I've never had an issue or a problem with this whatsoever. I've never cared what the race, gender, there are only two, sexuality, or anything like that, religion. If you play games, you play games. That's it. It doesn't matter what type of game it is. I am not the arbiter of what type of game you're allowed to play. I am not the arbiter of what you can purchase with your hard-earned money. And I'm going to say this flat out. No one's ever going to tell me what I can and can't talk about online or on my YouTube channel. I am a free speech absolutist. And as I've said, you should be allowed to say whatever you want. But of course, you are not free of the consequences of the things you say. So at the end of the day, if a person in the industry is telling you that there are problems in the AAA space and you're not willing to kind of sort of go through your thought process and think, oh, maybe this is indeed a problem because people in the actual industry that have worked on games are also telling you that there are problems within the industry, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm not here to change your mind. I'm here to give my opinion on this, and you are able to decide whether or not you agree with my opinion or you disagree with my opinion. That's perfectly fine. You're allowed to do that. You should be allowed to do that. Thank you all for checking out this video. I really do appreciate all the new subscribers, returning subscribers, new viewers, returning viewers. If you did like this video, hit the like button. Comment below what you feel about all this. Subscribe for more content. Hit the bell for notifications. Set the bell to all. That way you'll get a notification anytime I post a new video or go live on this channel. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace.